Oh, what is the upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXHockeyCast. We're on episode 116, Alexander Barkov of My Little Hockey Show, where once a week I go through all of the major news and what's happenings around the NHL, mainly focusing in on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames, because those are my two favorite teams, and you might be noticing a semi-somber voice in my tone, because we obviously, at this point, I feel like everyone knows about the tragic passing of Matthew and Johnny Hockey Gaudreau last week in a tragic accident. I don't want to go into the details and just all that stuff. I think at this point, everyone knows about it. Right now, I just kind of want to reminisce about Johnny Hockey and what he meant to me and the hockey world, and just try and have a nice reflection on what Johnny Hockey was. And what he was an incredible story, and I mean, without, obviously an incredible hockey player, but he was such a Calgary Flame, man. It goes without saying he was my favorite Calgary Flame during the post-Jerome Iginla era. He was absolutely a highlight reel, man. He was so much fun, so small, so fast, so talented, and that so small is a big part of the awesome story that is Johnny Gaudreau, drafted in the 4th freaking round. And this is in the era, not that long ago, where players, regardless of skill, if you're small, if you don't weigh very much, you're probably going to slide in the draft. And at this point, if anyone was doing redrafts, 2012, 2013, I don't 100% remember, but man, I think Johnny Gaudreau easily would be a little bit higher than he was where he was originally taken 4th. But regardless, he is such a Calgary Flame to me because he is that underdog story. And I find Calgary, when they do the best, it's generally in that underdog format. That's just why I fell in love with Calgary in the first place. I felt like, though they were a good team in 2004, I was only 8 or 9 when I watched that run, but it always felt like they were the underdogs in every series. I remember them taking down Detroit, and I was just in love with them ever since. I've always loved the Calgary Flames as early as I started watching hockey. It was earliest memories was Ed Belfour with Dallas. That's what kind of early interested me, and then I followed the Flames run in 2004, and then of course I was a Leaf fan, but they didn't go as far as the Flames that year, so yeah, I latched on to the Flames as well. But Johnny Gaudreau, one of my favorite hockey players, and an absolute tragedy. It really put it into perspective. He was born in 1999, same year as me, where we were both 31, and I am by no means on the stature of Johnny Gaudreau, but man, that's just incredibly sad, and a lot of messages of you never know what's going to happen, so hug your loved ones and tell them that you love them, because you never know what's going to happen. But you gotta shout out the outpouring of love from Calgary and Columbus. And oh my goodness, man, I feel so horrible for Columbus fans. Not only do they go through the ringer as a franchise, but tragedy after tragedy. We may already forget about the his name might slip here, but Lennox, the goaltender, he was Merzlikins' friend, and he'd passed away in a tragic firework accident. That was only a couple of years ago. So their fans dealt with that one, and now Johnny Hockey, and oh my goodness, man. So Columbus fans out there, I feel so horrible for you. I hope y'all are doing okay. It really did look like, I know we weren't expecting Columbus really to be a playoff team or anything, but the optimism was there. Sean Monahan coming in and literally coming in to reunite with Johnny Gaudreau and to try and reignite that flame, if you will, that they had in Calgary. And now, it is such a horrible domino effect. And I cannot stress this enough, y'all. Never, ever get behind the wheel when you've had anything. Never do it. It is so just irresponsible. It is such a selfish, stupid thing to do, and horrible things like this happen regularly. And there's going to be silver linings through this tragedy. There will be. There will be great things that come out through this. It generally always does, and hoping that this is a huge slap to the face to the world. Like, can we please stop drinking and driving? It is just such a ridiculous thing. I mean, my dad did it all the time. He's had numerous DUIs, and I've lived it. Like, I've seen it firsthand, the destruction of these decisions, and it is never worth it. It is, especially in this era when you have such easy access to buses, taxis, Ubers, you name it. It is just inexcusable, and I really hope they throw the book hard at that human being, that awful human that made this happen. Like, they need to make an example, and I don't really want to go down to the politics of this, but I really hope something comes out of this positively. Foundation, it needs to stop, and I know it won't stop, but it needs, like, this is absolutely disgusting. And everyone in the world, like, even my grandma, who doesn't know, or like, all she knows about hockey is that I love it. That's it. And even she was like, "Did you hear about Johnny Gaudreau?" And I'm like, "Yes." And so, like, it hit a lot. It hit around the world, man. It's because it's just so tragic. It is one of the saddest stories I've heard in a long time, and it always happens to the best people, man. These things always seem to happen, and so many stories coming out from everybody coming out, family, friends, former teammates, coaches, everybody. Not a single one of them has ever had a bad word to say about Johnny Hockey, because he is legitimately one of the nicest humans. I've never personally met him, so I can't attest to that, but you can just tell from the stories and the outpouring of love that this guy was a special person to a lot of people, to the community of Calgary and Columbus, to the NHL community, to everybody, man. Like, it's just so incredibly sad, but on the bright side, I mean, the outpouring of love, the beautiful, I believe that was in Calgary, the 13, the beautiful mural, like, just stunning. So shout out to everybody that contributed to that, and to anyone that did anything, excuse me, to support the Gaudreau family through any of this. And obviously, I send out whatever support I can. I mean, I know it doesn't do anything, but it's here. I put up a picture on Twitter. I have a Johnny Gaudreau back to I think it's the Heritage Classic. I bought this nice framed picture with Johnny Gaudreau and Patrick Laine on it. And man, I'm kicking myself in the butt now, because when I bought my first Calgary Flames jersey just last season, I bought my first one finally. And it was literally a 50-50 shot. I was between Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Tkachuk, and it was, in hindsight, yeah, I should have picked Johnny Gaudreau. It's just that Matthew Tkachuk is just a player that I appreciate his game so much. But as a human being, I mean, Johnny Gaudreau is an all-time. And oh my goodness, man, it's unbelievable what happened. Like, it's so shocking. It's so just out of nowhere. And what was supposed to be a peaceful and a beautiful weekend turned out to be so horrible. But again, just think about what you're doing. Think twice about your actions before you do something that could potentially, think twice. All right. And just love your close ones. Say hello, and just, talk to your friends and say all this stuff, man, because you never know what can happen tomorrow. What can happen today? Your best friend, someone might not be there tomorrow. So I don't really know, where to go from there. I mean, I don't want to go into like the business side of all of that, like what happens to the contract, what happens to the family. All I can say is that I imagine, I've heard, so they have a GoFundMe for Matthew Gaudreau's family, because obviously he wasn't in the NHL, so he wasn't making the money that his brother Johnny Gaudreau was. And last I just heard on the Steve Dangle podcast, they've raised over $500,000 for the family, so that is just sensational. So that's amazing. Again, the community coming together and supporting a great family and through their hard times. So that is amazing to hear. I know that Johnny's family will be taken care of regardless. That doesn't, it helps, but it doesn't fix what happened to their family. That's just tragic. Absolutely horrible. So we'll try and move on from that. I mean, it's what we got to do. So what we're gonna do is there's only actually 6 more of the NHL overviews that I have to do, and I'm gonna be mean to y'all, and I'm gonna save the Toronto Maple Leafs for last. I'm also gonna be mean to myself. I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna wait till last, and so there's only 6 teams left: Vegas, Los Angeles, Dallas, Toronto, Florida, Boston, and since we started with episode 116, Alexander Barkov, we're going to be talking about the Florida Panthers today, and there's some other news going along. You might have heard about the Draisaitl contract. Maybe let's do the Draisaitl contract right now, because I said so. It's my show, I can do whatever I want. $14 million frickin' dollars. Can I get a frickin' bonus over here? My goodness. So Leon Draisaitl getting paid. And yeah, dude, I think he's well deserving of that money. If you look at his point production throughout the playoffs, you look at his point production throughout the seasons, I think he's well worth the dollar. It's a shocking amount of money to us right now. Now, that doesn't kick in till next year. The salary cap will go up yet again, and it's going to come out to about 15% of the salary cap. So, yeah, I mean, it's not ideal when you want to build a team and you want to have everybody, but again, this is Draisaitl easily taking less money. He is worth maximum money in the NHL. Did you not hear what Steph Curry just signed for in the NBA? It's like $65 million a season. He's taking the max, super max, double max, ultra max, and over here in the NHL, a guy freaking, not even taking millions of dollars less than what he should be worth. And I don't hear too many complaints about the Draisaitl contract, but it feels like the window might be closing with the Edmonton Oilers if they don't get it done this season, because then it only gets worse, because then McDavid is up and so on and so forth. But overall, it's a pretty standard superstar contract. You look at the history of it, yeah, it is the highest contract in NHL history, but we're also at the highest salary cap that we've ever had in the salary cap era, of course. So I think it's a good deal. It's 8 years. And for the skill that Leon has, I think that's going to be just fine. He's going to be an elite producer throughout that. I think at this point, it's just how many championships could they get within that contract. You would have to imagine that McDavid is going to be on the same boat. And let's discuss that as well. What is the McDavid contract going to look like we have to imagine that deal is going to get signed probably around July 1st next summer. That's when they can first sign that contract. And I think it's a pretty easy one. I think it's going to be immensely comparable to Leon Draisaitl. It's probably going to be around 15% of the cap. The cap's going to go up by then. So I would say like $14.5 to $15 million. I wouldn't even be shocked if McDavid just goes 14 by 8, matches Leon Draisaitl, because let's just say they don't win the championship by then. They don't win the Stanley Cup in 2 years, and McDavid maybe is like, I don't care. Cut me down $1 million, $2 million. I want to win at this point. I feel like winning is the most important thing to Leon and McDavid at this point. So, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if the contract is the same or just $1 million or so, more than Leon Draisaitl. But then the conversation, very similar to the Leafs. And I can't say shit. I'm not saying shit about their contract. I'm just saying that, they're going to get compared, they're going to get the same shit that the Leafs generally get. But I'll just say flat out, Leon and McDavid, that is a better 1-2 punch than any 1-2 punch that Toronto can give you right now. Matthews, Marner, I take McDavid, Draisaitl. Matthews, Nylander, again, taking McDavid, Draisaitl. Matthews, Tavares, you get it? So yeah, no matter who you put with Matthews, I'm still taking McDavid, Draisaitl. You look at the point production in the playoffs, they've had much more success in the playoffs. So yeah, I think they're worth the money right now. I think, honestly, I don't think Matthews, Marner, Nylander, none of those guys have earned the money that McDavid and Draisaitl are getting right now. I don't think Austin Matthews should be the highest paid player in the NHL. He will be for just this season. I don't think he's earned that. I mean, he's super popular, and he's probably already the best Leaf of all time. I just don't think accolades yet. I mean, yeah, he has won a lot of Rocket Richards. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he does deserve what he's around. But I think without a question, Marner and Nylander, I don't think they've had the accolades or the performances to justify the amount of money that they're making just yet. So Draisaitl does. I think he does. So sadly with the Leafs, I still think they're just paying their superstars way too much. I think Matthews is like the okay one, but with Nylander, Marner, that's where you lose me there. So I still give the advantage of a contending team to the Edmonton Oilers because they have McDavid and Draisaitl. And I feel like, until they get to their maybe like 34s, 35, as long as McDavid, Draisaitl are in their prime and you can plop around some decent talent around them, I think they're generally always going to be in a playoff spot. And who knows, man, you can get a good goaltending run, and you generally know that McDavid, Draisaitl are going to lead the playoffs in points regardless of where they get freaking eliminated. Draisaitl led the playoffs in goal scoring last year, and the year before that, and they were out in the second round. So just stupid numbers from these guys. It's a lot of money, but it's going to, in 8 years, that $14 million, it's not going to look as good as the first contract that Draisaitl signed, but it's going to be fine. It's going to be absolutely fine unless something horrific happens. I'm fine with the Draisaitl deal. I think Edmonton's fine with it. Draisaitl seems very happy and content. How can't you be when you're making that much money every year? But yeah, it seems like a good situation. It didn't seem like there was any threat of Draisaitl leaving. I know there were those rumors of San Jose plopping him away, but it really didn't. It wouldn't make any sense. The position that they're in right now, it would take a couple of years before, even if Leon went over to San Jose now, it would still take a year or two before the team can catch up, and Leon wouldn't be able to do it by himself, I don't think. So, yeah, I don't think that was in the cards. Draisaitl, I saw the interview. He was like, it was always going to be Edmonton. He doesn't talk like that. Generally, when I imitate someone, I just like doing that voice because it makes me laugh, makes people laugh. Anyway, what do you think about the Leon Draisaitl contract? Is it too much money for these kind of superstar players? Is it too much for a team to hold on to both of them? Is it too much for Edmonton to hold on to both McDavid and Draisaitl and win a Stanley Cup? I mean, I don't know, man. These are two very special players, like arguably 1-2 best players in the league. Draisaitl would be, who knows what he would be if he was somewhere else. Very comparable to Malkin. If Malkin was on any other team, he would be the number one center, but behind Crosby, he's amazing, and when Crosby goes down, Malkin steps up. Very similar with Draisaitl. If McDavid goes down, Draisaitl steps his game up. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. We'll see how it all goes down. It's the window is definitely, I feel, open right now for Edmonton. This is a big year for them to cash in while Draisaitl's still on that 8.5 before any other extensions. They took the gamble. They didn't match any offers. They got rid of CC. They're cooking, man. They're cooking up to something. I hope it comes out, and I would just be so sad if Draisaitl McDavid didn't win a championship, brought a title to Canada. That would be really sad. I feel it still feels really good. So I'm happy that they got that one out of the way just in time. Wouldn't want to go into like training camp in the start of the season with like that obvious that they would talk about it all the time. Oh, where's he gonna go? Is he not gonna sign? Like, now that's over. We don't have to worry about it. He's here for 9 more years. He's gonna be a lifelong Edmonton Oilers. Pretty safe to say at this point. Yeah. So I like the Leon Draisaitl deal. Let me know what you think of it. And let's dive into our first overview of the week. We're going with the defending Stanley Cup champions, the Florida Panthers. And let's figure out why they were so freaking good. Well, they were 52-24-6, first place in the Atlantic. And I was not sleeping on Florida. Some people were. They're like, a big run. They're injured. Like, they're missing half their blue line. I was like, nah, bro, I'm not. They impressed me so much in that playoff run, and it really looked like the team connected with the coaching style of Paul Maurice, and everything just seemed like it was a machine operating kind of on its own. So I was like, yeah, no, it looks like Florida has it down. And they proved me right, man. They were fantastic last season. I don't think they won the Presidents. Anyway, they were 11th place in goals for per game. I mean, pretty damn good, not like the elite in the NHL, but they were first freaking place in goals against, and that took me by surprise a little bit because, Bobrovsky, he has some inconsistencies to his game sometimes recently in the Florida Panthers spree that he's on. We'll say that. Anyway, so that was really good. So we'll dive into that one. Power play was 8th place and the penalty kill was 6th place. So they're pretty much top 10 in everything. You can say, 11th place. So they were bumping in all areas. So they're doing really good there. Let's dive into their stats, and we know how awesome this always works for the, NHL season. Here we go. So let's start with goaltenders. Let's be weird. So Sergei Bobrovsky, 58 games played last year with a .915 save percentage, 6 shutouts, and yeah, dude, he played fantastic. Bounced back from what was a not great season from Bobrovsky, but generally always plays well in the playoffs. And then kind of the underrated hero who is now a Toronto Maple Leaf, and you better frickin' I cannot wait. Oh, man. Anthony Stolarz, man, I cannot wait for this guy to see him playing in the blue and white. But Anthony Stolarz had a .925 save percentage in 27 games, 16-7-2 record, .203 goals against average. This guy is arguably one of the most underrated goaltenders in the NHL. This guy's done nothing but fantastic goaltending. Generally all in a backup role. Fair. Absolutely fair. He's not the starting goaltender necessarily in the Leafs system. He is, as of right now, the backup for Joseph Woll. I think that Stolarz could easily steal the job, or watch out. I'm very excited. Regardless, Stolarz was fantastic. And we know about the Spencer Knight thing. So Spencer Knight spent a majority of the season in the player assistance program, and then he was released from that, but Florida was cooking. They didn't have to have Spencer Knight come up and get into, the firefight. So they're like, just ease your way into the AHL system. And that's exactly what he did. He is making a lot of money. Like, he is on that $4.5 million contract for the next 2 seasons. And I can't say that he's lived up to that just yet because he's barely played. And he's been going through shit. So, I'm not putting anything on him just yet, but this is going to be an exciting season for Spencer Knight. He's going to be back in the backup role by the looks of it. In terms of salary cap, they don't have any. $766,666. So that's a lot of sixes. That's scary. The number of the devil, brother. In terms of cap or draft picks, obviously, as a Stanley Cup winning team, a competitor, a contender, they don't have a lot of their draft picks, but they have some. So they won't have their first, second, or third. So yeah, the big boys are gone, but they have 2 fourths, 2 fifths, a 6th, and the 7th. So yeah, obviously some sacrifices were made, but it was worth it. 2026, they have their first and their second, no third, and then 27, they're all good. They got everything. So not bad. They didn't sacrifice too much of the far future. 25, yeah, they wiped it out pretty good. But again, it was worth it. Absolutely worth it. So we look at their goaltending is elite. Let's just say that. Even though Bobrovsky is $10 million, they're spending a shitload of money on their goaltending. Their goaltending is more than the Leon Draisaitl percentage of cap. 16.5% of the cap they're spending on goaltending, which is high. That's pretty high. $10 million on Bobrovsky. At this point, it's pretty justified now with a Stanley Cup ring, outstanding performance, a few damn good seasons under his belt as well with Florida. 2 more years at $10 million. I think they'll bite the bullet. They're going to hang on to Bob and just maybe he'll ride it out and that'll be it when he finishes this contract, and then Spencer Knight takes over. Their contracts finish at the same time. So that looks like to be the plan. Spencer Knight takes over for Bob, and Bob's your uncle. I made a funny right there. So in terms of offense, they have great offense, of course. They have Alexander Barkov. Do we really need to speak about this guy? One of the most elite, best two-way forwards possibly of all time at this point. $10 million bargain. Matthew Tkachuk, this guy, one of my favorite players in the league. I know people don't like him, but I like him. And a down year for him last season as well. He had an outstanding year prior, but last year, 80 games, 26 goals, 62 assists, 88 points. And that was probably the biggest bite that they took out of last season from their playoff run was the injuries to Matthew Tkachuk. He could barely move at the end of the finals the year prior before winning the Cup. So yeah, he started off a little bit rough, but he turned it on. Didn't score the goals that you were looking for, but it's okay because Sam Reinhart stepped up with 57 goals, 94 points in 82 games in a contract year, and he got himself a nice extension worth only $8.625 million, which I feel is very fair. Considering, yes, I know he got 57 goals, but he's never gotten close to that before. And he is an elite player. He's been great for Florida ever since he showed up. Much better. He's living up to the hype now that he was as a second overall pick, I believe he was, with Buffalo. So yeah, it looks like a great fit for Sam Reinhart. He was killing it last year in goals. Unbelievable. Do they still have Carter Verhaeghe? Of course they do. 76 games, 72 points, 34 goals. Another underrated guy. He is really damn good. I really enjoy Carter Verhaeghe. One more year on an unbelievable $4.166 million contract. He's 29 years old. Matty Tkachuk is 26. Barkov's 29. Like, this team is still, I feel, very much so primed to go after it again. They may not have enough gas for it, but we'll see, man. Sam Bennett, former Calgary Flame, along with Matty Tkachuk. Hence why I kind of like Florida, because there's a lot of former fucking Calgary Flames here that I'm not mad at these dudes for leaving. I cannot stress that enough. I say it every time. I'm not mad for Matthew Tkachuk leaving. I do not blame him. It was the absolute right decision. He is more justified than ever with the Stanley Cup now, so can't blame him for that. And Sam Bennett, they just didn't utilize him, and he is a damn fine player. Always has been for Florida. 69 games, nice. 41 points, not amazing. 20 goals, though. 100 penalty minutes. So we know he brings more than just some 20 goals on the board. He brings that insane element, especially in the playoffs. And how much is he making now? $4.425 for the next season. Another fantastic contract right there. I'd take that on my team any day. He's 28 years old. You got Evan Rodriguez, who was a fantastic addition for the Florida Panthers last year. They brought him in for $3 million for the next 3 more years, and looked a little bit eyebrow-raising at the time, but it paid off. This guy's an excellent, rover. He can play middle six, top six. He can go up and down in the lineup. He can turn it on if you put him in the top 6. 80 games, only 39 points. I know it's not shocking, but this guy, he's just a big-time player. I really like Evan Rodriguez. Anton Lundell, looking for a bigger season out of him. 35 points, 13 goals. And I always get these guys mixed up in between Luosterainen and Lundell. But Lundell's the younger of the two. He's 22 years old, and he got the $5 million extension. So looking for a bit more offense out of him now, but he is a good two-way forward as well for such a young man. Brandon Montour is no longer with the team, but he had 33 points in 66 games, so not going to spend a lot of time talking about the ones that aren't here, and that's also defense. We're not talking about defense, sorry. All right, so E2 Luosterainen, $3 million for the 26-year-old center. I don't know how much more offense you're going to get out of him. 27 points in 82 games. Again, a solid defensive forward as well. $3 million might be a little bit rich, but yeah, not bad. You got AJ Greer, Thomas Nosek, Jesper Bobquist, and Jona Gagovic also there rounding out their bottom 6. This is a fantastic forward group with a lot of meanness, goal scoring. You gotta expect Matthew Tkachuk to bounce back, get into that 40 goal range again. Can Sam Reinhart hit 50 goals again? I mean, he almost got 60, so I feel like he could be in the running again for another 50-goal season. We'll see. We'll see about that. I wouldn't be shocked, but maybe a little bit. And then you want Anton Lundell to step up a little bit. But, this team's really good. They're Stanley Cup champions. In terms of their defense, you got Aaron Ekblad. One more year on his $7.5 million. His next contract's going to be rather interesting. So many injury problems with Aaron Ekblad. I don't know if this guy's ever played a healthy season before. Let's actually dive into that, because that's a fun question to answer. Can't leave you hanging on that one. Let's figure this one out right here. Career. Let's see if we... Holy shit, he has. All right, cool. All right. 2 times he had a full 82-game season, but he has not had a full season in 5 straight years. So it's been a pretty consistent injury history with Aaron Ekblad, and that doesn't tend to get a lot better. So you can almost kind of pencil in Aaron Ekblad to have some injuries, miss some games here and there. That's kind of a general situation with them. I don't know what the hell is going on with Sportsnet right now. They're going to play a video for me because their website is just so flawless right now. But you know what Aaron Ekblad is going to bring. He is a fantastic two-way or not a forward at all. He's a defenseman. Holy shit, man. Like, this website, I tell you. Let me tell you something about this website. Trash. And now we're on Detroit because that's what I clicked on. Man, I don't know how much more time I could stretch for here. I'm really starting to struggle. Aaron Ekblad, though, a great two-way defenseman. And in a contract year, maybe something crazy happens. Maybe he pulls off a full 82, gets like 60 points, goes nutty, gets like 20 goals because he has a bomb of a shot. But last year in 51 games, only 18 points. So, like, you know, he's playing through injuries probably all the time, but I mean, it's Aaron Ekblad. So, again, pencil him in for some injuries, some missed games, but you also have Gustav Forsling, who's really earned himself some respect around the league. People were looking for his name in the Norris running because he is just so damn good defensively, and I will continue to push for a defensive defenseman award in the NHL so we can have do the Bobby Orr, do the Norris, have the Bobby Orr be the best offensive defenseman, even though Bobby Orr was a phenomenal defensive defenseman as well. People kind of forget that, but maybe call it the Paul Coffey Award because he was pure offense all the time, baby. Anyway, they also have Niko Mikkola, another very good defensive defenseman, Dmitry Kulikov, who played great for them, so great he earned himself an insane 4-year extension. It's only worth $1.15 million, but wow. They have, that's a name, Uvis Balinskis, right on. They have Nate Schmid, Adam Bobquist they brought in for league minimum. That could be unbelievable for them. They have a really good history at turning defensemen into great things, so don't be surprised if Adam Bobquist is a Norris-winning defenseman in next year. And they have Tobias Jornfort. I don't know who that is, but yeah, that's rounding out their defense. Not like it does hurt that they lost Montour. That definitely hurts them, but they didn't have him for the full season. They did fine. We know how good Gustav Forsling is. They could definitely use another defenseman back there that would help, maybe potentially another top 4 and a top 6 defenseman to help out with some depth as well, but their defense is still good, and you know the goaltending is going to be very good as well, so I'm not too worried about their defense. There might be a young man or two down there that could come up and make a splash, but yeah, man, it's the Florida Panthers. You know, they're going back to the playoffs. They're going to be trying their best to win themselves another Stanley Cup. It's just like, that would be 3 finals in a row. They made it to the finals the year prior. They didn't win. So, yeah, man, there's definitely going to be probably a little bit less gas in the tank, but you know the motivation is going to be high for the Florida Panthers to prove that it's not just a fluke, which I don't think anybody's worried about that. I don't think it's a fluke. I find it extremely impressive, the fact that they made it to the finals, didn't win, and then made it back to the finals again and won. Very similar to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So, I mean, I'm very impressed with the Florida Panthers. I'm never going to count them out for quite some time, and I'm not counting them out. They're fine. They're going to find themselves back into the playoffs. No problemo. Where do you think the Florida Panthers are going to end up? They're going to miss the playoffs? You crazy? You cuckoo? You think that's going to happen? I don't know about that. All right, but before we dive into the next overview, which is going to be Dallas, we're doing Dallas next, let's talk about some other news that's been going around. I know it's PTO season, and some people are starting to get signed to some of those. I'm not really going to go into them too much until some bigger names. I know it's like Tyler Johnson, I think, with Buffalo or some shit. And I'm also hearing rumors of Tyson Barrie, maybe a PTO coming to Calgary with him. I would love that, man. Even though I know Tyson Barrie is like strictly offense, but they could use a guy to run the power play in Calgary. I think that would be a really nice fit for him, so I would be down with it. I'm a little bit surprised that no one's taken a bite at Tyson Barrie, but hey, there's PTO starting to get signed out there. So some really sad news in St. Louis. Torrey Krug is going to be missing the entirety of the season. I believe he is getting ankle surgery, something like that. That sucks, bro. That really does suck. Torrey Krug's been going through a few rough seasons there in St. Louis. There was a trade that got shut down. He was going to Philadelphia, I do believe. And yeah, man, ever since he left Boston, it hasn't been quite the same run for Torrey Krug, but hopefully he gets back and can come back nice, healthy, and strong next season. But fuck, that really sucks. Missing a whole entire season, that's rough. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with St. Louis. Maybe one of their younger guys, I think Nate, was it Perunovic or something? There's a young defenseman, maybe two, that could take advantage of this situation and maybe emerge. So maybe a silver lining there for the St. Louis Blues in this one, but regardless, that's shit news for Torrey Krug and his Fanes. And who else is going through it? Right? Okay, let's do something nice. Vancouver got some good news for you guys. Thatcher Demko is skating. That's a good sign. That's a great sign. A lot of speculation of how healthy Thatcher Demko really is. Is this guy going to start healthy at the beginning of the season? Is it going to take a little bit more? I mean, we're still quite a bit away from the beginning of the regular season. The fact that he's skating now, that's a great sign. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic that if he's going to miss something, it may be like a week or two at tops. I don't even really know what the fuck he's dealing with. If anything, he might just be taking his time. I don't know. We know how important Thatcher Demko is going to be for the Canucks, even though Shilovs did great, but there's not as much of a track record with him, so we can't guarantee that Shilovs is going to be playing that good all year long. We know that Demko is a damn good goalie, especially when he's healthy. So yeah, getting him fully healthy is probably of the utmost importance, as it will be with the Boston Bruins and their captain Brad Marchand, who had 3 different surgeries this summer. He beat me. I had 2 surgeries in 1 week. So what the fuck do you think about that, Brad? What do you think about that, Brad? But Brad, he is dealing with a numerous amount of injuries. I don't remember them fully. I know one was a sports hernia. Regardless, though, he's rehabbing 3 injuries. The dude was playing super hurt and continues to just be a fucking animal and a player that I wish so desperately the Leafs could have. But nope, he's continuing to be haunting my dreams, and I don't like it. But we'll see what happens with Brad Marchand. He's going to do everything that he can to get back as quickly as possible, because that's what he freaking does. And speaking of what they do, you know what the Dallas Stars do? They continue to be a damn fine team and a well-built team, and I think they're going to be a damn well-built run team for quite some time going forward. Let's talk about the Dallas Stars, who finished first in the Central last year with a 52-21-9 record, 3rd place in goals for, 8th place goals against, 6th place power play, and an 8th place penalty kill. Oh, baby. And there were some players that had some down years. Let's talk about that. Jake Ottinger, for example. Oops, I hit the playoff one. I was going to say, he only played 19 games? That's not right. Anyway, 54 games for Jake Ottinger. 54 games, 35-14 and 4 record with a .905 save percentage, which is down for a Jake Ottinger standards. A bit of an up and down year for Jake Ottinger. Not very consistent. And hey, this is what happens. He's still a young goaltender, folks. He's still young, so he will go through these things sometimes. But generally, when it's big game time, Jake Ottinger's the man. He's one of the more clutch goaltenders, and he's young, and he's a stud. And yeah, man, he's going to be coming with another. He's looking to bounce back, I would say. For his standards, a .905, which is around league average. A good season. Just he set his standards very high, especially with that ridiculous playoff run, which I immediately was like, everyone was like, oh, this guy's a .950 perennial goaltender. He's going to bring this every night. I'm like, you're crazy if you think that's actually going to happen. And of course it didn't. And he fell back down to reality a little bit. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. There's your M&M for the day. So we talk about, before we get too far into the stats, Dallas has $6 million in cap space, but they have a certain someone on their defensive core that they're going to be spending probably all that on. I don't know why I'm doing that voice a lot today. It's the nerdy kid from The Simpsons. Anyway, so in terms of their draft picks, not bad. So they have their first round in 25. They have all their first rounds. Second round, they don't have one in 25. They have an extra 5th. So not bad, man. Not bad considering they've generally always been playoff bound. They don't spend their first too often sillily. I mean, there was that Lundqvist deal that they made with the someone that was a little bit like, what the heck are you doing? 26, they don't have a fourth, but they have an extra second, and 27, they're all good. So pretty nice spot to be in right now as the Dallas Stars in terms of their draft picks, looking good there. Now with their salary cap, so they're still in the era of the Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, $9.5+ million contracts. Tyler Seguin in particular still has 3 more years at 9.85, and I really like Tyler Seguin. He's always been just a player that I've always really liked, even though it sucks that, he could have been a Leaf, and then he was a Bruin, and all that horrible stuff, of course. And just never has really lived up to that almost $10 million contract. He's had, close to point per game seasons, but I just don't think he's really... Well, not actually. Excuse me. Well, no, those are still when he was doing well when he was making the 5.75. I mean, they was fucking doing very well. But ever since he started making around $10 million, he just really hasn't lived up to it. 2021, he basically missed the whole entire season. He had 81 games in 2021-22, only got 49 points. 76 games, 50 points. 68 games, 52 points. So pretty safe to say that not really living up to that $10 million contract, which sucks, man, because he's funny. I just enjoy Tyler Seguin. He just seems like a lot of fun. But hopefully, I mean, at this point he kind of is generally good for around 50-60 points, which, thankfully they have other players that are stepping up and they're on really nice contracts right now. Jamie Benn, on the other hand, I mean, he was pretty good last. I feel like he's bounced back fairly well from what's been some down years. 82 games, 21 goals, 39 assists, 60 points for the captain of the Dallas Stars. And again, no, he's not living up to that almost $10 million contract, but he brings that physicality. He rides that line. I know for better or for worse, some Dallas fans like that about him. Some Dallas fans absolutely hate it about him. It is what it is. I'm a big fan of Jamie Benn. The homie Jesse and I, we have a Jamie Benn after 40 thing going on. I'm not going to explain it to you. It's an inside joke. But, at this point, Jamie Benn, he's 35 years old. He's on the last year of the 9.5. So if he gets 60 points, great. If he doesn't, it's the final year of it. And he won't be making 9.5 after this season. But I like Jamie Benn. He's definitely a controversial player, but I like him. But I think my favorite player though on Dallas is Roope Hintz. I fucking love this guy. 27 years old. He's just a sneaky under-the-radar superstar, an absolute stud. He's just a playoff performer. I really like Roope Hintz. And he signed a big extension worth $8.45, which I think is a bargain. That's a Stanley Cup deal right there, man. This guy easily... Open market 10 plus. This guy's a top line elite center. And he's unbelievable. He's a 40 goal guy, 80 plus over a point per game, fully healthy. He had a little bit of a down year because of the injuries. 80 games, 30 goals, 35 assists, 65 points. I'm expecting a bounce back from him. And even his partner, Jason Robertson, who had a down season compared to his, 110 plus point year he had. 82 games, 29 goals, 51 assists, 80 points. So, a pretty big drop-off for him from the year prior. He was a little bit inconsistent too, but he started finding his game. Regardless, for 7.75, still a fantastic contract. He's 25, Roope Hintz is 27, so that's kind of your 1-2 wombo combo right there. They have Mason Marchment on 4.5, really good. I was a little bit jealous that they got him. I wanted the Leafs to pick him up. 81 games, 22 goals, 53 points. I mean, that's a fantastic contract. And he brings that physicality, kind of a power forward like that. Matt Duchene returned again for $3 million. He was fantastic for them. For a super bang for your buck. 25 goals, 65 points in 80 games for $3 million. Can't complain right there. He is 33, so there's a potential he falls off, but I'm not too worried about it yet. He's still quite damn good. They have Evgeny Dadonov. Did he play for them last season? He did. He got into 51 games, 23 points. He's back again for 2.25. He's 35, so that might not be awesome. Sam Steele is here for 1.2. A former first round pick. He's 26 years old now, so I don't think he's going to necessarily get up to that first round potential, but you never know. 1.2, it's a variable contract, so we're not worried about it. They have Maverick Bork, who is another young guy to look out for with Dallas. Again, this is a team that continues to produce these young guys. You have Wyatt Johnson, who had a breakout season last year, and he started off slow. So watch out for Wyatt Johnson to have an even better season. 32 goals, 33 assists, 65 points. This guy could... Who knows, man? I don't know what the ceiling is for him just yet, but he is an exciting player. And as the Sagans and the Jamie Benz ice time comes down, the Wyatt Johnson ice time goes up. Watch the fuck out, man. This guy could be nasty. And we know of the big loss of Joe Pavelski, finally retired. There's potential. There are whispers of potentially Joe Pavelski signing late in the season for maybe a playoff run. So don't say goodnight just yet to Joe Pavelski. He may pop back up. So I'm not saying bye to him just yet. And who knows, that guy could come in and just be like the fully healthy, re-energized Pavelski for a late playoff run. Fuck, who knows? Okay, who else do we have here? Wyatt Johnson's ridiculous. You have to watch out for this Logan Stankoven guy. Stinky. This guy's 21 years old. He's on a rookie contract. So is Wyatt Johnson. So this is a time to strike right now while these young guys aren't making NHL money just yet. And Stankoven was very impressive in his little appearances that he made last year in 24 games. 14.6 goals. And he looks like he is capable of a hell of a lot more than that. So watch out for Stankoven. That guy looks really good. I love their forward group. I mean, it is lacking Joe Pavelski, which stinks, and Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn, another year older, and they haven't lived up to the contracts, but they got great depth, man. They have a lot, not as much as before, but these young kids, Stankoven, Wyatt Johnson, Maverick Bork, they can continue to grow. Stankoven's probably going to have a hell of a season. He's going to be having a bigger role with them, so yeah, I really like their forward group. And defense, really like their defense as well. They've made some changes here, but not with Miro Heiskanen, 25 years old. This guy is a stud, one of the best defensemen in the league. Will he ever win a Norris? I don't think so, just because of how tough his competition is. But I think a perennial Norris contender. I think that's safe to say. This guy's unbelievable. Sadly, because I drafted him last year, he didn't quite have the season I was expecting. He missed some games to injury, but 9 goals, 45 assists, 54 points. Fantastic. I mean, and considering the defense that he brings, the amount of ice time that he plays for Dallas, this guy is kind of the straw that stirs the drink a little bit. I kind of compare him to Hedman in Tampa Bay. Like, if Heiskanen is gone, I mean, that's a big fucking blow. And they lost him for some games, and they made it through there, but it's noticeable when Heiskanen isn't there, eating up all those minutes. And he's locked up for, it says 4 more years, but I think it's longer than that. They have Esa Lindell. Love him or hate him. Some people think, I feel like he's one of those overrated, underrated guys. Some people think he's really, really good, and some people think he really sucks. I think he's a good defenseman. Excuse me, my goodness. He's here 1 more year, 5.8. Maybe a little rich, but I think Dallas fans are fairly fine with him. Correct me if I'm wrong. They brought in Matt Dumba for 3.75. It's expensive, but considering he's the right shot, that's kind of the premium they pay there for an open market. And then they brought in Ilya Lyubushkin for 3.25. Also a little bit eyebrow raising, but I feel like he could be effective for Dallas. And I mean, he's definitely not a top 4. He's probably a bottom 6. He's, looks like he may, once they get Thomas Harley signed, of course. Thomas Harley, let's speak about this kid. This kid, sneakily disgusting on the blue line for Dallas last year. I just got to find his name. Thomas Harley, 15 goals as a defenseman. That is nasty, bro. 79 games, 47 assists. He's not far off from point production of Heiskanen. He's not eating as many minutes, but this kid is a stud. Absolute stud, and he's going to eat up most, if not all, of that $6 million unless they try to do some sort of bridge deal where they can get it to like maybe $4 million for 2 years, 4.5, $2 million. Maybe that works. But yeah, they got to get him re-signed for the blue line because he's big time, man. He's 23 years old and he's already a stud. And they have that Niels Lundqvist. This guy, I don't know, man. Like they spent a first round pick to get him. and then they don't use him in the playoffs. Like, he was benched, he's not eating up a lot of minutes. They treated him as a liability out there. I don't know if he was that bad that they wouldn't play him and shit, but he's 24, right shot. He's kind of a mystery bag. Don't really know what the hell you're going to get out of him. Brendan Smith, I feel like he can play forward and defense, but he's on $1 million, so I don't know how much he's actually going to play. That's a damn fine defense right there, man. It's not the best. I'm curious to see what Matt Dumba and Lyubushkin's going to bring to that blue line. It's a little bit expensive, but again, that's the premium you pay for right-hand shot defenseman on the open market. You're going to pay a little bit more for that. And then the net, they have Casey DeSmith, so no more... who was in the net for them back there? Wedgwood. Wedgwood was pretty solid. May have played him a little bit too much, fell down to an 8.99, so you're not losing everything. But Casey DeSmith, man, that's a nice little backup. 3 years, $1 million. He's 33, but he's proven to be a pretty damn fine backup and can step into a bigger role if something happens to Jake Ottinger, who's making $4 million, and then they got to talk big extension for Jake Ottinger, and that's going to be an interesting conversation right there as well. But I'm a big old fan of the Dallas Stars and their team. I always have them as a strong contender coming out of the West. I feel like they have one of the strongest overall teams, very deep. They have lots of goal-scoring threats. They have strong defense and goaltending. They're young. They're fast. They're kind of mean. I like the Dallas Stars a lot. So, yeah, easily making the playoffs. Could this be the year? I feel like Dallas is in that play. Like, they can win a cup, man. Their team is good enough. They just got to get you got to have that luck, man. I don't care what you say. You got to have luck to win the Stanley Cup, and maybe Dallas gets that luck this season. Let me know what you think of the Dallas Stars. Where do you think they're going to finish this season? Can they win a cup? I think they're definitely contenders. But I think that's going to do it for me, folks. I am tired, I am gassed, and I am sad about this horrible week that we had in the hockey world. So we'll cut it off. I'll save Vegas, Los Angeles, Boston for next week, and then we'll have like the Big Leaf one. We'll have the Big Leaf episode where we go through the Toronto Maple Leafs and talk about how I feel in the state that they're in right now and all that great stuff. It's probably going to be a nice big rant and venting session, all that great stuff. And there's also still award predictions I'm going to do, a bunch of other things like bounce back candidates, breakout candidates, Calder Cup candidates, all that great stuff. There's tons more things to touch on before we start the freaking season, which admittedly, every year when I get all poopy pants when the Leafs lose in the playoffs, I'm like, I hate hockey. I don't want to watch this crap no more. I'm sick of it. And then, we get like a month away, the vibes at work. People are like, we're at training camp soon. Some of my fantasy hockey things are starting to get ramped up. I'm getting the invites. There's another one at work I jumped into. So I got might be doing 3 this year. I hope not. I like 2, but fantasy hockey is starting to kick up, and yeah, man, I'm starting to feel it a little bit. Honestly, I think the thing I'm most excited about with the Leafs right now is Craig Berube and the Joseph Woll. It's just such a gamble with Joseph Woll. It could pay off, it could break us, but also Anthony Stollar's there, so pretty excited about the goaltending for the Leafs. Forwards, we know what we're getting there. Defense, kind of know what you're getting there, but also a little bit of excitement because there are new guys there, but I don't know, man. You always it's that Leaf defense. You always know there's going to be those collapses. But also excited. I just want to see if Craig Berube is going to change the way the team plays. I hope he's not just a pawn in the Brendan Shanahan plan where they still play that possession crap and it doesn't work. We'll see, man. Regardless, I'll spend a whole episode. I'll have a Leaf special, and we'll be talking about them and all that great stuff. And hopefully by then, Nicky Bobby is signed or traded or figured out or some shit. Regardless, thank you everybody so much for listening. Share your favorite Johnny Gaudreau moments. Man, there's so many. A lot of people bring up the Game 7 overtime Dallas Stars Johnny Gaudreau goal. That was amazing. There's just a lot of funny stories with Johnny Gaudreau. I always think about his diet. His diet is out of control for a professional athlete, and he's eating ham and cheese sandwiches, fucking Skittles, drinking Mountain Dew. It's just but he needed to, man, because he's trying to put on weight, especially in his early days in college and high school. Coaches are like, dude, you gotta eat, and then he's eating all summer and no weight gain. They're like, what have you been eating? He's like, Nutella sandwiches. I'm trying over here. I just love Johnny Gaudreau so much, man. I'm going to miss him so much. Like, oh, it just sucks. I'm going to be tracking down a Johnny Gaudreau jersey. They're probably going to be an extremely hot commodity right now, and they're probably going to be really expensive. And again, I'm kicking myself for not buying a Johnny Gaudreau when they were super inexpensive, because that's when I don't mind buying jerseys when a favorite player of mine moves teams. Like, if a favorite player of mine played for a favorite team of mine, then I'm going to pick up their jersey. I mean, the biggest example is Joe Thornton. I love Joe Thornton. He played for the Leafs for one season, and I have a Joe Thornton jersey, a Leaf jersey, because it's funny, and it was super cheap, and why the fuck not? So if you find yourself a Johnny Hockey jersey, man, pick it up, hug it, love it, frame it, do all that stuff, because Johnny Hockey was an absolute treasure. And also, we all know that there's going to be a lot of awesome ceremonies and tributes and amazing things from the Flames and from Columbus throughout the season. I think early on they said there's a Columbus and Flames game where they play each other, so expect an amazing tribute for Johnny Gaudreau. I'm hoping that I think they're going to retire his number for, I would imagine, the Flames. I don't know about the Columbus, but why the hell not? I already feel like he made such a big impact on Columbus's, not like the hockey team, but the community, like him taking that chance where it was so obvious. They're like, oh, go to New Jersey, go to Philadelphia, go to these competitors, go to these contending teams or whatever, go to your hometown. And he goes with Columbus, and he was like, because I believe in Columbus. I like this place. It's nice here. And that was the endorsement that Columbus really needed. So I feel like immediately Johnny Gaudreau was a fan favorite, even though he wasn't putting up the points. That it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was the person that mattered, and it's so sad that we lost that person, but we know his legacy is going to live on. At least for me, I was also talking with people at work. Like, I don't feel like I've personally gone through like a hockey player death that, like, I know the Leaf prospect passed away last year or 2 years ago, the very young one, but I didn't have like a connection of watching this player play for so many years. I can't recall if I've lost. I mean, there's been some older players as well, but not someone like during like a tragedy like this. So you hear about the ones in the 80s and the 90s and so on. But yeah, I feel like this might be my first one, and it fucking hurts and it sucks. And I hated talking about it at work, and I don't like talking about it here. And I kind of held off on the podcast because I very didn't want to talk about it. But like, it is kind of it helps. It's therapeutic to just memorize the good things. Don't think about the tragedy. Think about the memories, the good things that Johnny did for us and the game of hockey. How many people he's probably inspired, like smaller kids that think that are always getting picked last or something. He brings that fucking passion. Like, no matter, I know it's so cliche, but like, you know, he obviously never gave up on it, no matter who told him. I can only imagine how many people told him, you're too small, give up, you're too small, don't do this, you can't make it, you won't make it, and look at him go. Such an amazing player, man. Like, he's going down as one of my all-time favorite Flames. He's sliding in probably currently right behind Mika Kiprusoff in the third spot currently. That's how much I've always loved Johnny Gaudreau. He's just always been a favorite of mine. How can you not? Like, he's just so lovable. That smile, man. Oh my God. I'm going to miss that guy, man. I really am. Really, really am. And I was so optimistic for his season upcoming. I was like, yes, he's going to bring the boys back in town and shit. I'm sorry I'm bringing it all back up and making you sad to send you on your way. But let's remember the good things about Johnny Ham and Cheese, Johnny Hockey. What an amazing guy. And just hug your loved ones. And we'll be back again with some more. But before I leave you, let's plug some stuff. So what else are we doing with the podcast this week? I fucking feel like there's another wrestling pay-per-view this weekend. I'm going to shit myself. I can't handle it. There's way too much wrestling right now. But if there is, I will review it and have an extra pay-per-view review for you. There's one up for the 2 freaking WWE pay-per-views that they did last weekend. No Mercy, NXT, and WWE went to Germany for the first time in fucking almost 30 years. They had a pay-per-view there, so the reviews are up for both of those. In terms of the GamerCast this week, it's a Star Wars video game. Which one is it? I'm not telling you. You're just going to have to wait and see. Hoping to drop that on Friday. Might be Saturday. We'll see what happens. I do have a week off for vacation. Have that booked, so there might be some extra time. We'll see what happens. But yeah, man, it's very exciting here at the GamerCast, the rest of the podcast, the GX Plus cast. Holy shit. So yeah, we're almost done with all the previews, the overviews for the NHL teams. Only 4 left. We've done 28 so far, so I'm sorry if you're a Leaf fan, Bruin fan, or Vegas fan, or whatever the last team that I haven't done yet. If LA, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that I hadn't done y'all yet. But it's nothing against you. It's just fucking... Well, there is something against Boston. Fuck you. Fuck you, Boston. I would do you last, but I mean, you would probably like that, wouldn't you? Because you're freaks. Anyway, I will be back again. There's an email address if anyone wants to talk Johnny Hockey or something like that, you're going through a rough time, my door is there and open for anyone and everyone. There's also a Twitter page where I put up announcements as best as I can. And, of course, the YouTube channel where I upload all these episodes. You can watch them over there. Great place to drop a comment. If you want to have a question answered live on the podcast, have your name shouted out, all that great stuff, drop a comment on a YouTube episode. Throw a Twitter comment in or whatever, send a message on the email or Twitter or whatever the heck. If you just want to have a question answered, get involved with the podcast, absolutely encouraged. I would love that. That would be so much freaking fun. So send them on in and we'll be back again with some out GX Plus cast.